on.
More than half of tips reported through the Crime Stoppers program are now reported online. Information about unsolved crimes, local advisories, and how to report tips anonymously can be found at www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This is What Matters Most, and I'm your host, Heather Acker. We are now into the year 2020, and a successful year we will all have. And I'm really pleased to bring on some guests tonight, but if you know somebody that deserves some awareness, or you have an event happening, or something is interesting around your community or the St. John area or surrounding area, please send us an email or tap us into rogerstv.ca. And now, with any further ado, I'd like to introduce my first guest, and I have Peter Oxley with me today. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm great. How was 2020 handling for you?
So far, so good.
Yeah?
The early days of 2020 have been, very good.
Yeah, I think we're going to have lots of stuff to talk about for this whole year. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad to start off the season and the year with you today. So Peter, you're here to talk about Liftoff Capital. Can
Yes.
you explain a little bit about, for those who may not know, what is Liftoff Capital?
Absolutely. So Liftoff Capital is the brainchild of my business partner, Jake Swan, Dr. Jake Swan, who couldn't be here because he's saving
Is he in
lives.
surgery?
Yeah, he's so selfish, right? Saving lives. And his father, John Swan, who has sadly passed away. But what Liftoff Capital is a website and sort of environment to match entrepreneurs and investors.
Okay.
So we kind of think of it as sort of a LinkedIn, Facebook, and dating website for entrepreneurs and investors. So the way it works is you would set up a profile with your business and what you're doing, what you're interested in, and potential investors can follow you and what you're doing anonymously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Interesting.
we've set it up that way so it really behooves the entrepreneurs to put their best foot forward and to post every day and talk about what they're doing, explain their business, try to sell their product on the site, and just generate a lot of awareness about what they're doing. And then if investors see what you're doing and like what you're doing, they can reach out to you, and then you can structure a deal with the investor. So we're just sort of a site to make that connection with investors and with entrepreneurs and to facilitate the meeting, but not to do the actual sort of the mechanisms of the investment.
Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. And so how many investors, do you have like a collection of investors, or how does one become an investor?
So the way you can join Liftoff Capital is it's a no-charge service. Okay. So as an investor, if you were looking for, let's say, an opportunity in aerospace, you could go in, set up your profile, you could filter the businesses you'd like to follow, let's say aerospace, click that off. Any aerospace businesses would be populated under your profile. And then you can anonymously watch those businesses, see what they're doing. All of a sudden, let's say Heather Acker's aerospace company is doing some really interesting things. The investor would reach out to you and say, hey, Heather, let's have coffee next week and just talk about what you're doing. From the entrepreneur side, you do the same thing. Set up your profile, and you structure it so your profile is set up under what sort of business area you're under. Okay. Let's say you're a bakery.
Sure.
So you would check off bakery, you would talk about what you're doing. We also have a system called the Liftoff score. So the more investment ready your company is, the higher your Liftoff score. So what would make your company more investment ready? Things like having a board of directors, being incorporated, having professional services like a lawyer, an accountant. So you're sort of just a more mature business and potentially more investment ready.
Right, more validation to what you're doing.
Correct,
and,
correct.
There's less feeling of a risk as well.
For a potential investor,
correct.
correct.
For potential investors,
Yes.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, we've got some really cool small companies that are sort of mom and pops that are doing really cool things, and, maybe looking to get $10,000 in investment because they want to buy a new piece of equipment. And then we've got larger sort of tech type companies that are looking for, in the millions.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty impressive. And to date, I think we were just talking about this the other day. I think we're looking at about our liftoff partners have raised about somewhere around $3.5 million.
Is that right?
Through outside investment, yeah. Now, we didn't facilitate all of that, but we're certainly sort of a way for these companies to get out in the world and let potential investors see what they're doing.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Now, do some of the investors, and you can or cannot share this with me, I'm not sure what the privacy is to your investors, but do they have to be in Canada?
No. So we originally launched about a year ago and sort of promoted the company to Liftoff Capital to local businesses and to sort of go through that vetting stage to make sure our technology was good and sound and everything worked properly. Luckily it has. We've got a great development team in Toronto, Maxim and Sergey. So we did that. And now we've sort of expanded across Canada slowly, and we've got a little bit of interest in the U.S. Our plan is to go international with probably focusing mostly Canada and the U.S.
Okay,
Yeah.
Very nice. Is there any certain age level or age group that you're dealing with for, not necessarily the investor side, of course, it's more of the entrepreneurial side. I know the validation you were speaking on is, the credibility to their companies or their businesses or services that they're creating. But is there a certain level of, age that you're working with?
No, we really think that it's, the nice thing about it is, as Jake says, if you have an idea, you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
And something about, getting your idea down in a format like Liftoff Capital, where you're sort of saying to the world, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. I think for the entrepreneur, it's sort of that first step to going, okay, this is real now. And then once you start having other entrepreneurs and potential investors following you, and you're posting and you're getting some thumbs up for your ideas, or you're getting some feedback, it's sort of that snowball effect. It becomes a little bit more real all the time. And let's face it, we all need, as entrepreneurs, everybody needs a little hand. So this is a way to, just by having other people seeing what you're doing and giving you encouragement to keep you going and in those days when you don't have as much energy as we all like to have.
We've all had those.
And then, yeah, absolutely. And then potentially to find partners, to find customers. So it's just a really good way to validate your business and get it out there.
Excellent. So you're now in St. John. I know that you're I guess we can call it somewhat of a home.
Yes.
In 1 Germain Street.
Yes.
So that's fantastic. Right in the heart of entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Which is a great space to start. What are you looking at collecting a team, or is it basically an online service that you are providing?
It is an online service, but there's always a back end, of course. So we've got development, and we'd really like, one of the problems that Jake and I have with the business is that he's a physician and he's working crazy hours.
Busy.
I own another business in medical devices. It's actually based in Ontario, so I spend a lot of time around Canada. We're really looking now for some help on the marketing side of this to really help to roll Liftoff Capital out. So if there's anybody watching that would be really interested in talking to Jake or I, it's just peter@liftoffcapital.com or jake@liftoffcapital.com.
Yes.
Or drop into Connection Works and have a chat with our friends there. So yeah, we're really in that phase now. Now it's time to really get the word out across the country, and the more profiles we have, the more Liftoff partners we have, it's just better for everybody because it becomes a bigger ecosystem.
Oh, yeah.
There's more sharing, there's more internal customers, all these kind of things. So there's a lot of opportunity for everybody with this project.
Yeah. Are you going to be doing a particular, like a launch of the announcement of Liftoff Capital of a little bit more of an explanation.
Well, I think that's what we're doing here tonight.
Well, it certainly is. Couldn't be better than their local TV.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And this is one thing we're really working on in 2020 is that we, as I said, we really wanted to make sure the tech was sound, because there's nothing worse, as you know, than going on a website and
Things are broken.
Right, something doesn't work. You go like, God, or it's clunky, and we've really streamlined it and cleaned it up, so it's a really world class.
Yeah.
Set up the way it is now. So 2020 is really our marketing year, where we're going to be one of the sort of the benefits of the fact that I travel across the country all the time is I'm able to meet with people across the country and find some strategic partners to bring in to Liftoff, both as entrepreneurs, investors, and also as potential folks that want to sell their services to our Liftoff partners, so law firms, accounting firms.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity that way too, because really you've got a captive audience of like-minded people who are building businesses that want to be successful. So who else would that's the greatest group to advertise to, right?
Yes, everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, why not? Like, you're going with winners, right? So
that's right.
Yeah, that's what we believe. So
yeah.
So 2020 is a real sort of national launch year for us for Liftoff.
Excellent.
Yeah.
With your the awareness of the Liftoff Capital and everything, is there what's your passion to it? What really is exciting that you find that you like the best?
Well, I guess sort of our founding story is that, so Jake's father, John, his sort of career was doing exactly what Liftoff does, except he did it the old-fashioned way, where he met people and said, hey, Heather, I like what you're doing. I know some guys in San Francisco. I'm going to put you guys together. And he did a lot of that.
He was awesome.
Yeah, crisscrossed North America. He was on an airplane all the time. So when he and Jake came up with the idea, John had said, there's got to be a better way to do this, at least to get the initial meeting. And then, I mean, you're always going to jump on an airplane at some point, but why not make it easier? I had spent some time as well doing some pitches down in Silicon Valley, and it was fun. And you go to these venture capitalists, and they all have really cool offices in Sand Hill Lane, and everyone's so cool. And you show up, and you get a really nice coffee, and you sit around, and you pitch your idea to them. But living in Eastern Canada or anywhere else, really, it's just hard to follow up.
Mm-hmm.
So we really thought this was a way we could streamline the whole thing, make those meetings happen, and make people successul.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I really hope that, I know that we are running out of our time. I could talk to you for a whole hour about entrepreneurship.
Next week.
We'll bring you back. We'll bring you back.
Awesome.
You definitely, I think this is a really exciting time, because I see St. John on that tipping point
100%.
of people, starting to do their own thing.
Yep.
People are interested; they just don't know where to go. So, kudos to you, kudos to Jake. Thanks to John Swan.
Absolutely.
All the best, you guys.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
Heather.
and
Appreciate it.
to find you, probably, what was the website again?
Website, www.liftoffcapital.com. And please, if you've got an idea, sign up. It won't cost you anything. Get your idea out there.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Heather. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And for you, stay tuned, and I'll be back with my second guest. His name is Brian, and he's got a wheel of a deal to talk about. Thank you.
I'm Craig Eagles. I have the honor to showcase New Brunswick's finest athletes and builders on Sports Inclusive. We take a look at their personal journey and how sports has impacted their lives. Sports Inclusive, only on Rogers TV.
It's packed to the rafters in the Edmonton Arena. Everyone is feeling the pressure on the Grabs as they await the American champs. Here's the Cleveland favorite Knits now, and boy, do they look impressive.
Look at their uniforms. I bet you could sure run in smart shirts like those.
Not that. Look, world champs, my eye.
Grats. We don't play for glory. We play the game for the game's sake. So tonight, you're going to earn that title by playing your game. Teamwork, passing. Let's show them what it means to play the Grads.
were champions for 25 years. The record of 502 wins and only 20 losses is unmatched in all of sport.
Woo!
Go for a ride.
Awesome!
You're going to step up.
Did you know, since 1985, Crime Stoppers has helped solve close to 8,000 crimes in New Brunswick? Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477 or www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. I am Heather Acker, your host for What Matters Most. And I now have my second guest for the evening. His name is Brian, and he is here today to talk about LTR.
Correct.
LTR. Let's talk to Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
So this is really, really cool for you because
Yeah.
LTR, you're the president.
Yes.
Which, can you explain to the audience what LTR is and what you guys do?
The Lorneville Trail Riders is a new club established in 2017
Yes.
that we felt needed the West St. John and Lorneville area to have a club. We maintain trails, we build new trails, we put in shelters, warming shelters, and we actually have a new warming shack already set up. We groom the trails in the wintertime. We just purchased a groomer, so we're all set to go when the snow flies.
Excellent. So that's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
Right? And a lot of work. So do you actually groom the trails yourself?
We
Brian?
do. The past few years has been volunteers with their own machines, and this year here the club decided that we're going to purchase our own machine and we're going to have a club machine.
Excellent.
So there's going to be a committee set up, and they're going to be grooming the trails all throughout the evenings and overnights.
Wow. And if you have big storms, you're out there the whole time, right?
The whole time. We got to maintain them, right?
Yeah.
The members want to get out. They want to enjoy the wilderness, the trails, and have a good time.
Cool. Now, I'm going to be a little naive to this because I'm not really sure, but is this good for snowmobilers or just four-wheelers?
All our trails are going to be shared trails with
Shared,
walkers, snowmobilers, hikers,
Skiers. Yeah.
snowshoers, all the above, right? We're not going to limit the trails to anybody. We want a shared trail system so everybody can enjoy the outdoors and have a good time.
Excellent, excellent. So let's talk about the type of vehicles that,
Okay.
because I'm familiar a little bit with
Right.
off-roading and four-wheeling. What's the popular four-wheeler now? I see
The
difference.
four-wheelers are still quite popular, but they're getting more and more into the side-by-side, the family-oriented two-person to a four-person side-by-side.
Okay.
So in saying that, the trails have to be widened and maintained at a different level for the machines to be able to get through safely. Right?
Okay.
Right.
So what do you drive?
I drive an ATV.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not into the side-by-side yet, but it will come someday.
Excellent. Because you can pretty much take an ATV anywhere.
Correct.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that I'm a West Sider, so I'm very familiar with the West Side. You can drive all the way from the West Side through Grand Bay, all the way through Fredericton, and
You can go
continue.
up north on that side.
Really?
So what we do is we apply through provincial government for trail access.
Sure.
It's a long process. We go through and they approve them. Our main goal is to connect the clubs all together.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So right now we're working with the province. We're hoping the city gets on board and we can install trails going into the West St. John. Unfortunately, you'll have to trailer over the Harbor Bridge in the Vervings Falls, but
Right.
that's an issue that, is always going to be there. So.
Yeah, I guess we're not building a trail
No.
over the water.
That's right.
And that water doesn't freeze.
No.
Ever.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, what happens to the trails in the summertime?
That's when the big work starts because you're into trimming the limbs back and stuff like that. We got machinery to do some grading and upgrades and putting in new trails.
Yes.
If there's areas that people want to get into or we're thinking be access for tourism and stuff like that, we have to go in and put new trails. There's lookout points. There's all kinds of different areas to go, new lakes to go enjoy, stuff like that.
So it sounds beautiful, and it sounds like everybody should actually get themselves a off-road vehicle.
It's enjoyable for
and,
sure.
How does someone join LTR?
They can look it up on our website and just go on www.ltr57.com. I believe it.
I think, yep.
Up on the screen.
Yep, they got it right up on the screen for you.
All right. Or they can ask to be joined on our Facebook page as well. So we have monthly meetings every second Monday of the month at the Laurenville Community Center.
Oh, yes.
And everybody's welcome to come and join and sit in and see what we're all about. And if they're interested, we have passes there to be sold all the time, right?
Okay.
All the pass money goes into funding for the trails, our warming shelters, expenses that the club incurs to maintain the trails.
Sure,
right?
Sure. And what is an average trail pass? Or
Three-season pass is $52.90.
Okay.
And a four-season pass, which is a groom pass, is $110.40.
Only $110?
$110.40.
That's pretty cheap.
And we're also included in, their machine can be used in Ontario, Nova Scotia, PI, and New Brunswick.
Okay.
So if a person has family in Nova Scotia and they want to bring their machine down, they don't have to buy an extra pass. They can use theirs. We have an agreement through that.
Wow, it's very universal.
It is. It is.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
So can we talk about a little bit about the achievements? Because you've been around since how long?
Well, this is our third year in existence, I guess.
Since 2017?
So in 2017, we got approval from the New Brunswick ATV Federation. We've acquired trails.
Yes.
We've put in a warming shack, they call it, our members call it. And we've also just recently purchased a groomer to groom our trails.
Nice.
Our membership is wonderful. We have all kinds of volunteers that are willing to go out and do the work that needs to be done. And we got beautiful area to do it in.
Excellent. I know that there's some photos that you did send on,
Correct.
I think on the warming shack and stuff, so
Yep.
hopefully they'll put those up for
For
me.
sure.
What about get-togethers? Like, do you guys have get-togethers with the members, and how many members do you have?
At the moment, we finished last year with, I believe it was 180 members. I might be off a number or two.
Wow.
That's for our second year.
Okay.
Right now, we're already surpassing the previous month of January last year. So it's going well. Our get-togethers, we do a monthly club run.
Okay.
We're quite involved with Eldridge's Honda in the West Side.
Oh, yes.
We do a run with them every 3 months.
Okay.
There's
Like
actually,
they sponsor it? Or?
They sponsor it, and we go out and, we have a meal most of the time. We go out. Summertime's a little easier because we do share the trails throughout other clubs.
Okay.
Wintertime, we're only access to certain areas because the Snowmobile Federation has access to our trails as well during the winter months.
Okay.
So we try to,
Sure.
keep copacetic with them.
Sure.
Now, in saying that, the Eldridge's run is going to be in February. As soon as we have a date, it's going to be posted up on our Facebook page, and everybody's welcome.
Wow. Everybody's welcome that has a vehicle, obviously.
That has a, yeah, that's right, that's right.
You gotta
But even
show
if you
up.
don't, there's, spare back seats and side-by-sides with
that's
empty
true.
seats,
Hey,
You're welcome to come with us, Heather.
I just might. I
That's
might.
right.
Because there's an opportunity there to take lots of great photos.
It is.
Right?
It is.
To be on the back.
Correct.
I really miss doing the Trails to the Woods. I actually had a Polaris automatic.
Oh, yes.
So I didn't have any of that kicking and starting.
Right, right.
I was kind of spoiled. So it was nice when I had it. It was
They
great.
have power steering, so they're kind of nice too.
Yeah, I know, and the side-by-sides are very popular.
Yes, they are.
What, on your knowledge, what's your ratio that you see of members? Do they have a lot of side-by-sides, or do they have
I'm going to say probably
four-wheelers?
20 to 30% have side-by-sides compared to the ATVs. It's just a preference is all it is, right?
Yeah.
Or a family-oriented sport as well. We welcome children and families to come join our runs and stuff like that, or our club.
Yeah.
And, most of them do come with us.
Okay. So when you were talking about memberships, or
Yes.
the numbers have increased,
Yeah.
is that per vehicle or is that per person that you're?
Per person, per
It is
membership,
per membership.
allowance, I guess, or inscriptions.
Okay.
As a new club, people are seeing that, that never bought passes before,
Yeah.
are seeing, well, this is a good thing. Let's join the bandwagon, I guess, and go
Right.
for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice.
For people that are interested in the hobby or the sport,
Correct.
I would say, I've been so out of this for such a long time, but is it an expensive sport to get involved? Like if we say, oh, you know what, I don't want to travel anymore, but I'd like to do something at home. Would you suggest them give this a try?
There is an expense to it.
Yeah.
But in that expense, if you're not traveling, if you're not, some people stop doing snowmobiling and do the four-wheeling or vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's an expense that you can go out throughout the whole year, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
You're getting out, getting physical exercise, because you're not always on the machine as well. You're socializing.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Or pulling someone out of the ditch.
Pulling some of the mud holes.
The mud holes. Brian, you haven't been stuck, have you?
Many times.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you lose your bike?
No, I never lost the bike, but I've been called upon to go get lost bikes, so that's been happened as well. So.
Well,
it's always an adventure.
Well, isn't that adding the fun?
Oh, it is.
Right.
It is,
yeah.
right.
I suppose that wouldn't happen so much in the wintertime. Like, do people get stuck in the wintertime?
They do, because if you fall off the trail, the groomed trails, if there's a fair amount of snow, you can have anywhere upwards of 3-4 feet, and you got to try to dig it out to bring it out onto the trail again.
Oh, yes. I've never really thought about that. Yeah. I've only been on, not too much with the four-wheelers, but the sleds.
The snowmobiles,
The snowmobiles.
Yeah.
Do you have an event happening or coming up for your future for the LTR?
Right now, we're working on, like I said, the Eldridge's event in February.
Do you know the date on that one?
Not as of yet.
Okay.
We're still working details out, and the issue becomes this time of year is the weather.
Okay.
If it's raining or ice pellets or freezing rain or anything like that, it's more of a deterrent to go out because it gets more dangerous on the trails.
True.
We've had runs before that there was collisions between machines, and people kind of get upset, but it's a sport that you have to have common sense as well.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yes.
Safety is number one. That's our thing. So.
Yeah. And I do know some of your members, and I know they're very much up and up with that.
Correct.
It's very good, very nice club that you're in. So if people want to see some photos, do you have photos posted on your Facebook page?
We do.
Yeah.
There's a photo list. Talking about photo lists, there's an event coming up in March. We're having an annual auction.
Okay.
It's run through the Facebook page. And we do very well with it, and it's open to everyone.
Oh, really?
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah. So things are getting gathered up and donations and stuff to get going and have that all set up. The dates are going to be the 22nd to the 27th.
Of March.
So if anybody's interested, keep an eye out on what's going on. And
do they have to sign up for that one?
No, because it's made public.
Okay, so it's just basically, you don't have to tell somebody you're coming, you just show up.
No, a lot of them we invite because it's all on Facebook, so they just go through and find the pictures and go from there.
Excellent. Right. Well, I really appreciate you spending your time with me tonight, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
I hope to get out maybe with somebody to experience this awesome LTR group.
Well, thank you.
All right. And please stay tuned. My next guest coming up is Stacy, and she is a firecracker.
Support your local charities and win great prizes by playing bingo on Rogers TV.
I took this picture of my wife when she was near death, waiting for a liver transplant. And this is her now.
Hello, I'm Lise Breckenridge. A liver transplant saved my life.
What can I say? You be the judge.
Your donation will help Canadians understand the importance of pledging to be an organ donor.
And it will help save the lives of so many more.
As it has for us.
Add some to your life.
Let's go.
CTV Sci-Fi Channel free preview is on.
I'm bringing the party to you.
The hell are you doing out here, Picard? Saving the galaxy?
Fancy a trip in the box?
Of
crisis has begun.
I am attempting to save the multiverse. Explore our universe.
Engage.
CTV Sci-Fi Channel free preview on now.
What's up, guys? Chris Dobson, Chris Corey here from New Brunswick's favorite sports show, Across the Line. We talk to everybody from football, golf, hockey, Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter. We always have a great time when we're here in studio, and hey, you never know who's going to drop by.
Hey, lots of celebrities, lots of New Brunswick's finest coming by the studio to talk sports, have a little fun with New Brunswick's favorite sports talk show, Across the Line, right here on Rogers TV.
Do you have information about a crime that has occurred or is about to occur? This information can help solve crimes, and tipsters always remain anonymous. Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS or www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. I'm now with my third guest this evening, and this is Stacey Richards. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I am very happy that you're here as well. I called you my firecracker, so we got to prove that. So, what are you doing here, Stacey?
Well,
who are you representing?
Well, I am a facilitator for a company called Shaping Purpose.
Okay.
And Shaping Purpose is a local company. It started in 2013. And what it is, it's a program. And it's a program to help people find direction and clarity in their life. And so anybody that is experiencing any type of difficulty or challenges going through a transition, this program will give them clarity and focus. So what I mean by a transition is anybody perhaps that has recently retired and they're finding themselves completely lost as to what am I going to do next?
Oh my gosh, have we not heard that before?
Right.
Yes.
Empty nesters, right? Mothers and fathers who are used to taking care of their families and suddenly they're twiddling their thumbs, they don't know what to do. We can talk about somebody who's relocated to a new city and finds themselves a little bit stuck and challenged in this city. Or maybe somebody's going off to college or needs to figure out what type of career they're looking at. So whatever your transition is, this program actually forces you to stop, think about who you are, what you're made of, and what are your true goals.
Oh, okay.
So this is what this course does. It
really
draws
cool.
it all out.
Okay. It sounds like it really clarifies. It takes away that fog, right? It's like I've gone through, well, I've been around St. John for a very long time, but transitioning through different opportunities with work or business, and have found myself to be like, oh, you know, I don't know if this is the right place for me, or like, is that what you're also assisting with, is for people like that?
That's exactly right. So if you are an individual and you have found yourself stuck and you don't know which is the next step that I'm going to take in my life. Let's say you have a desire to be a teacher, for example. Well, there's certain steps that you're going to have to take to become a teacher. But let's say you don't even know that you want to be a teacher. Right? What do I want to do with my life? Who has asked that question? Everybody.
Right.
What am I going to do with my life? What is the purpose of my life? I need more meaning in my life. So what this course does is forces you to stop. Forces you to stop, take inventory of where you came from.
Yes.
Figure out your gifts and your passions and your values, and that's kind of the key to the whole program, is uncovering what your special gifts are, what your passions are, and what values you hold dear, so that when you're making these decisions, you know exactly who you are, exactly what you like to do, so you're not going to choose something that doesn't make sense to you, or it's not your authentic self.
Right. That's really interesting, because I know that even, do you do this for high school students as well?
Yes.
Like what age groups are you really targeting?
We do it for anybody, literally anybody. Usually grade 10 and 11 is kind of the lower range.
Yeah.
So we are bringing it into schools. We brought it into Ross A. Netherwood School. In fact, actually Friday, we are doing the program for the grade 10 and 11 students.
Okay, so there's a couple of photos there.
Yeah.
Would that be, that must be RCS Netherwood?
That's Rossay Netherwood School.
That's Rossay Netherwood?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a class that we did last year. That was grade 10s and 11 students last year. And then we did something for the grade 12 commencement last year at Rossay Netherwood Schools. And it was fabulous because we learn topics in school. We learn about history, we learn about geography, we learn about this, that, and the other. We don't learn anything about ourselves.
Right.
Unless you take the time and do that on your own, but it's not a course that's offered. So Rossay Netherwood jumped on board. They thought this was going to be wonderful. And it's just, the feedback's fabulous.
That's really great.
Think about being able to do this course if you were in school.
Oh my gosh.
Like back in high school, how much time would we have saved going to the wrong college or dating the wrong guy or living in the wrong city or...
Oh, you know me. No, I remember back in high school when you're sitting there and you're going, why do I need to do this? I don't need this, and I'll never need to learn how to do calculus in my life. But you have to do it. But if you knew what you wanted to do, or at least you had an inkling of, I would like to do this in my life, how much this would help.
Absolutely.
It would be so helpful.
And what it teaches you as well is, so let me tell you a little bit about the program because we have different formats of the program. So we have a full 4-day program where it's 4 consecutive days and we're in a kind of a retreat-like setting.
Oh,
it's
neat.
very lovely. Oh, it's fabulous. And you get out to nature and you work as a group, not as individuals, though. You're not working, people, like-minded people that have come to do the same program that you have. So we have a 4-day program, which is awesome. Then we have a 2-day weekend workshop that is fabulous, a little bit more condensed.
Okay.
We have an online program, and we have a 1-day condensed program.
Wow,
so there's all kinds of different programs, and you can check out the website for all of those. But what we focus on the most is figuring out who you are. So that's where we do these fabulous activities and interactive exercises where you figure out what your top 5 gifts are. And then you're going to find out what your top 5 passions are.
Okay.
And then you're going to figure out what your 5 top values are. And then you take those 5 top descriptions of yourself, your unique abilities, your talents, your skills that are uniquely yours. And then we look at the big picture. We look at, okay, so you've got all these gifts, so let's talk about career. What career is going to fit with all these gifts and passions and values, and what is not? So what it allows you to do is to see the end of the road. You can see your path very, very clearly, and so any obstacles that kind of come your way, you can just go, that doesn't work because that's not part of my gifts and my values, and and you can kind of wean your way through life to your ultimate goal. It's when you leave the program,
impactful.
You have a piece of paper in your hand with it. We call it a life plan.
Yes.
And it is your guide that's going to lead you to the next 3 months, to the next 6 months, to the next year, and you can always change it, stick it on your desk, so you know where you're going.
Yeah. It's a very similar conception to like vision boards. When you do vision boards, it's like you have to see it, and the more you see it, the more it becomes real. And it's sort of like, and I don't want to sound all hokey pokey here, but the universe almost pulls you to it. I've actually exercise vision boards with a friend I've actually had on here, and we did that, and I was amazed. I had put it aside, came back to it, and there was things on the vision board that I had put there as I would like to see my life turn into, and it has, which is really surprising. So this is really important that you keep your identify top characteristics or goals or passions always right there in front of you.
Keep them at your desk. Keep them in front of you. And once you have done the program and you kind of keep them in your back pocket anyway, you're so excited that you've kind of figured it out because nobody ever tells you these things. Gifts are something that you learn as you go along. You're like, oh, this seems pretty easy to me, right? This is effortless. Or your passion, you didn't even realize you had a passion about something until time just flies and you don't even realize, you haven't even looked up. You know,
Right.
you're having so much fun painting. So painting is a huge passion of yours. We like to call it is, some people say, well, how do I know, especially the kids, how do I know if it's something that I like to do? And I always say, okay, you know, when you're sitting around, you're talking with your friends, and suddenly somebody starts talking about fashion.
Right.
And your ears perk up.
Yes.
And your ears, pay attention to that. If your ears are perking up over something, that kind of means it's the universe telling you that, hey, you might be interested in that. You should check it out.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody offers you an opportunity and either you get very excited and you get butterflies or your stomach turns.
Yes.
Well, that's the universe talking to you.
Yeah.
That's your authentic self talking to you. It's saying no or yes, please.
Yes.
Right?
So you're teaching skills so people will learn their skills.
That's right.
On how to identify what their choices, making easier choices.
Making easier choices. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And so that you're armed with all of this information about yourself.
Yeah.
So as you go through life, you know what you like, you know what you don't like. So much easier.
Now I know we've only got about 3 minutes left. So I want to talk about what's coming up.
Okay, so I talked about how the Shaping Purpose program is for anybody.
Yes.
And we've been doing this program since 2013. And in 2014, we had a veteran that attended our program. Strictly, his wife saw it online and said, why don't you give it a try? It's not going to hurt you. It could only benefit you. And he had been involuntarily released from the military, and he was trying to get into civilian life. And let me tell you, he felt isolated. He was stressed. He had anxiety. He didn't know where to turn. How am I going to transition into civilian life? The military was all I knew. So he thought the program was the bomb, and he has since been our poster boy champion for veterans, and introduced us to VAC, Veteran Affairs Canada, introduced us to, that's Andrew Garsh right there.
Okay.
And VAC has recognized our program and is so excited about it that they've offered us some funding to do it, and that's why I'm really excited to tell you about this today, because there's a special opportunity for a veteran and their partner to both take the course together, and VAC will fund it, so they can either be a CAF or a veteran, and they will fund it, and we want to do this program for our New Brunswick veterans first. We're a New Brunswick company. We're excited. We have to do it across Canada for the next couple of years, but let's get a group together for our local men and women. And, you know, so if there's anybody out there that feels that they would benefit from the program, or you know somebody that would benefit from the program, just get a hold of me through the website, or they're going to put my email address up, and please get a hold of us, because we would love you to be a part of it. It would change your life.
Well, I must say, Stacey, that I feel like I want to take your program. Maybe I'll grow up and decide that I want to be a TV host. I don't know. Maybe it is a skill.
Well, but I do want to tell you that, I mean, if anybody has a group or an individual that want to do it, get a hold of me.
Perfect. Thank you, Stacey, for being with us. I look forward to hearing more about this in the future. And please stay tuned. We have our last guest up this evening. His name is Ian, and we'll be right back after this message.
My mother said we had to leave home. The communists were going to take my father away. If my parents were afraid, they didn't show us. But we would never forget our escape from Vietnam. We were lost.
What was your job in Vietnam?
University professor.
We had no home.
Do you have any family in Canada?
No, sir.
Nobody wanted us.
Welcome to Canada.
Canada chose us.
Canadians opened their borders, their homes, and their hearts to more than 100,000 refugees fleeing persecution after the Vietnam War.
we were home.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
Queer people were usually not the ones at the forefront of crafting these narratives.
It's not about me, it's about what I represent.
What is this lesbian thing you speak of?
You can't put two men together. You can do that. Are they? Are they? They are!
People stood up and said, this show is meaningful to me and here's why.
More than half of tips reported through the Crime Stoppers program are now reported online. Information about unsolved crimes, local advisories, and how to report tips anonymously can be found at www.crimenb.ca.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. I am your host, Heather Acker, and this is What Matters Most. And I have my last guest for this evening. This is Ian Esty. Ian, welcome.
How you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Good.
2020 is a great year, and it's going to be even better.
It has been a fantastic year so far.
Yes, it has. So, Ian, tell me, what do you do, Ian?
I do lots of stuff, but...
What do we know you for?
Well, you know me in St. John, hi St. John. You know me from music.
Yes.
You know me from making music videos, and you know me as a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
And a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker.
Right.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about that.
Filmmaking?
Let's talk about filmmaking. I'm really intrigued about that.
Nice.
Yes.
It's a good subject to talk about because I could talk for an hour.
Well, we have about 11.5 minutes.
I'll keep it brief.
Let's do it.
Well, one of the big things, one of the big reasons I was excited to come out here was to come and let an audience that doesn't know a lot about what's going on in St. John for filmmaking, and I'd like them to know that there's an active and vibrant scene out here.
That's
and
cool.
It's important. You know, the funny thing is, back when I was last in this studio in 1989 or 1990 or whatever it was, don't let my boyish good looks fool you, I'm that old.
Wow.
When I was last in here, cameras were amazingly expensive, and audio gear was just as expensive. And now we're in the digital age, and with the age of like digital SLR cameras from Canon, you can buy a high definition Canon camera for $300 or $400 and a really nice field microphone for another $100. So if you wanted to tell a story or make a movie, your investment is so small now, you can go out, grab that gear, and tell your story, and there's many people doing that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but what's even more incredible is there's all of these great stories out there being told, but the audience isn't coming. And it's not that the stories are bad. It's not that the films are bad. They're actually surprisingly very good, but the audience doesn't know. We're not out there enough doing stuff just like this. Right? And it's shows like yours that allow us to, hopefully get out and say hi to people.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. And that's the true reason why I do this, is to flesh out opportunities that really educate and aware the local community of St. John. Like, these are things that are happening. There's so much used to be, I feel, like last year, a couple of years, people always talk negatively, oh, St. John, there's nothing going on. That is so not the case.
And it's never been the case.
No, we just never heard of it.
People who take that negative sort of view are people who are just either not directly in the know or willingly turn their eye away.
Yeah.
When I started in music and I started performing in bars in the early 90s, there was, and still is to this day, a vibrant music scene. I mean, you can go out in St. John on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night and see a different band each night from this place, right? It's amazing. It's amazing.
Actually, I think I unfortunately missed it, but you had something that was going on last week.
I did.
Was it Saturday night?
It was Saturday night.
Yeah. You want to talk about that for a sec?
Sure. All right. One of the things I get most proud, one of the happiest moments of my life, and one of the most nerve-wracking, let's make this very clear, it's a nerve-wracking experience, is when you invest a lot of time in a project and then you put it out there for people and you're sitting in the crowd with them, but you're not focused on that screen.
You're focused on the crowd.
Yeah, you're looking around going, okay, here comes a big laugh, here comes the, yay, okay, they laugh. All right, and away we go. So I spent the summer with a great group of filmmakers, my studio, Groove Hill Studio, and another studio I'm very tied to, which is Hoveland Films. And we went out and we created a movie based on a web series we shot for 2 straight years called Hard Times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hard Times in the Maritimes.
Hard Times in the Maritimes.
Not for all.
You can Google it. It's not for all. It's street level.
But it's funny.
A lot of F-bombs, but it's intelligently written.
Yes.
And the jokes are good. And we use St. John talent for the most part.
Yes.
We're using St. John talent. For the most part, we're using New Brunswick talent. We have one actor that just absolutely had to be a part of it, so he came up from Maine. His name was Brian Giles. Hi, Brian. And great fella. So we did this movie based off that series because, you know, shooting fatigue, project fatigue happens, right? And you're always looking for the next thing to move on to, the next great idea.
Yeah.
And we were ready to put this to bed, but we hadn't finished the series, so we decided to do a feature.
Okay.
And my very, very good friend Matt Copeland, who wrote the series with Adam Landry, myself and James Hovey directed episodes in the series, and we all came together and decided that we were going to tie up the story and make people laugh. So the film was shown at the BMO Theater, which is a fantastic place to catch a film, let me tell you. Any theater that has a bar where you can have a nice Alpine, which was a sponsor, by the way, you can have a nice Alpine while watching a movie, away you go.
Good.
Yeah, so it was very nerve-wracking, man. We sold out the first show. We nearly sold out the second show.
Oh, fantastic.
And you're sitting there amongst the crowd, and you just wait for that first laugh, and when it happens, you can just and enjoy the film. And it was very well received. You know, we're really excited. I don't know what the future for the film is. We don't know if we're going to put it out on. Well, we might put it out on the film festival circuits.
Yeah, I think it deserves that.
I think so.
Yeah.
And when you have a film that needs to make those circuits, sadly you don't throw it right out on YouTube right away, or you don't, because you need that sort of you need that mystery in the project, right?
Yes.
You don't want to show them all your stuff right away. You got to hold a little back. You hold a little back.
So I had Brian on.
Brian Mazerel.
Brian Mazerel.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Fantastic
you worked with
actor.
him
Yeah.
on another film, is that correct?
Yeah.
The Pugilist?
The Pugilist,
Yes.
which was a Jeff Kelly story.
That's correct.
You had Jeff on the show
I had
as
Jeff
well.
on the show
Yes,
as
you
well.
did. I watched it. That's how
I fish you guys out from all over.
That's how I first became aware of you, actually, was through Jeff.
And I believe there's a
Oh, there's a picture of Jeff.
There's Jeff there.
Yeah, and that's him in The Pugilist playing Seamus.
Yes.
You know, a punch-drunk boxer who probably shouldn't be in the ring anymore, but still is.
Yes. Now, was that based on a true story?
No, Jeff wrote the story, so I don't want to really get too much. I don't want to speak too much for him, but it was a combination of several stories that he brought in to make that character.
Sure.
I partner with Jeff and Experiment 5 Media over quite a few different projects, and the reason I do a lot of work with Jeff is just because he's a fantastic story writer. Yes. The guy's, his scripts are amazing. They're compelling. The Pugilist was a story. I like lighthearted. I love comedy, but it was a story that needs to be told, right? It's a story of trauma, both emotionally and physically. And, you know, if you've ever met or known an athlete in a contact sport and they've been in it for a long time, they probably suffered. They probably suffered. And what they're probably still going through is something that a lot of sport really needs to address, you know, whether it's football, hockey, boxing, MMA, it doesn't matter. You know, your brain cannot be pummeled with impunity. It just can't. No. And the people around you that support you or support those people, because God knows I'm not one of them, they just need that. They need the story to be out. People need to be aware. And that film was very well received.
Yes.
We had sponsorship from Ringside Boxing. We had sponsorship from Everlast Boxing, KV Boxing. I mean, local boxing clubs. We had a lot of boxers acting in our film, which was really funny because we trained our actors how to be boxers, but we forgot how to train the boxers to be actors. And poor Jeff had his nose broken not once, but twice.
Well, you know what? Those are the hazards of being on film.
When it happened the first time in the big fight scenes, we had a nurse on set who was actually trying to help poor Jeff. I kicked him out of the ring, and I brought the actors in. Because you can't buy special effects like a broken nose bleeding out everywhere. Sorry,
no,
Jeff.
No.
And
take one for the team.
Oh yeah, but I got the nurse behind the camera and people pretending to be nurses working on him, and the real nurse is getting angry with me. I got to get in there, he said. So poor Jeff, he actually, he bleeds for his craft.
Yes.
Yes, he does. He does.
So, I mean, I could talk to you all night, just like everybody else I get on here. Let's talk about, if people are interested in stepping into film, is there a way that they can get a little bit more comfortable?
Yep.
How can you help them?
The first thing to realize is that you don't need thousands of equipment, like thousands of dollars worth of gear, like I said. You need a little knowledge.
Yes.
You do. A little bit of knowledge on how a story is structured. Okay, that's nice. How you can take your frame lines and, things called the rule of thirds, and little bits of knowledge, but you don't need lots. And that knowledge is gleanable from YouTube. It's amazing.
What you can learn.
It is amazing. But listen, one of the things I want to talk about, if there is anybody out there that wants to make some film, is look up the New Brunswick Film Cooperative, the NB Film Co-op.
Okay.
I'm a full member. And you don't have to be a full member, you can become an associate member. But what that unlocks for you is knowledge and resources.
Yes.
So the Film Co-op holds classes every year in filmmaking in St. John, Fredericton, and Moncton. Mm-hmm. You can find them with a quick Google NB Film Co-op, and then a whole world opens up to you. And all you have to do is join and be willing to learn. And it's really awesome. They have done fantastic work, not just with me, but with a lot of other people too. So I highly recommend hooking up with the NB Film Co-op. That'll start anybody on their way.
Excellent. And like you said, you don't have to have a lot of equipment. It is the basics of knowledge to build on.
Yeah.
But I know I've talked to people and say, oh, I'd love to make a film. But you know what? I'm just going to get them to contact you.
Yeah, you certainly can. Just remember, the first step is always the scariest, and no matter what it is you're doing,
That's true.
Whether you're starting a business or making a movie,
Well,
take that step.
Thank you, Ian. I really appreciate it. I thank you for taking the step to be on the show with me tonight.
It was my pleasure. No, it was really my pleasure. I was tickled when you asked me.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure we'll have you back on with something that you're conjuring up. So I'd like to thank Ian, of course, and Stacy, and Brian, and of course Peter for being our guests tonight. I'd also like to thank you, the television audience that are home on this cool winter's night. I'd also very much like the volunteers, wish to thank them so much for helping out here with our Rogers studio. And please stay tuned. Within a few weeks, we'll have another show coming up. And be kind to each other, keep smiling, and come back and see us again.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
When you become a Rogers volunteer, it's always an opportunity for everybody to come together and try different things that they've never been able to do before.
What I've learned here is different skills that I thought I would never even be interested in learning.
By being here at Rogers, I can learn all these different things that will help me be stronger.
Working here as a volunteer is a good way to get to know your community. It's a good way to learn how to work as a part of a team.
They're people from our community, so they know and they have a heart for our community to step outside of our comfort zone and do more.
Don't be afraid, because this is where you're going to gain the most valuable experience that you can use in your future.
I encourage everybody to be a volunteer at Rogers TV because not only do you grow professionally, you grow personally as well.
This is Rogers TV, New Brunswick.
My husband is a wonderful man and a great father when he's not drinking. I'm so angry he chooses alcohol over us. If he really loved us, he'd stop drinking, right? My counselor suggested I try Al-Anon. I didn't understand why. I'm not the one with the problem, but I'm glad I went. Do you worry about someone's drinking? You are not alone. Al-Anon or Alateen can help. Call 8